welcome back to the latest edition of Terrace Talk. The positivity is I suppose, growing amongst Norwich City fans at the moment, ahead of a very long trip to Lancashire on Saturday, a trip to Ewood Park, a place that's been a fairly happy place to go for Norwich City over recent years. Delighted to be joined by Dan from the Rovers Chat. Dan, a lot's changed since we last met back at Carrow Road in November. It feels like two sides that are kind of sliding in opposite directions. Rovers won that game 3-1, went 3 points off the top six. Norwich was 17th at that point. What's gone wrong in the months intervening? I mean, we'll get into a lot of the details as we go along, but yeah, just generally, I suppose, what's gone wrong?
Yeah, we're about to say then that it's been a complete swap, hasn't it? Almost since we played at the start of November, it kind of feels like we're in other people's positions. A lot, really. I think John Dale Thomason's stubbornness and the fact he didn't want to change. So Rovers win one game in 11 before his departure. John Eustace has come in, and although we've only had a loss and a draw since he come in, I think a bit of positivity's come back. You can kind of see that he's maybe results over style, which I think John Dale was the other way. You know, you saw at Norwich how well it can work and how well playing that fast attacking football works. We're getting Smodics in behind especially. But Rovers couldn't keep the ball out the other end. Like I said, 1 win in 11. We beat a Bristol City side as well in that one win that we're really trying to adapt to Liam Manning's style. So we didn't really beat a settled team since probably Stoke away at the end of November. November was a really good month for us. So yeah, it's been just been a very frustrating couple of months. John Dale Thomason, like I say, left at the right time. I think he's a really good manager, but with Rovers' financial issues that came over the summer and, you know, the issues that are still going on, we can't put money into the club through the ownership unless it's approved by the Indian courts. We've had to kind of adopt a style and adopt a manager of let's just get points and stay in this league and then go into next year and try and build an identity, I'd say, again, a way of playing. But all is still not well, even if maybe, you know, on the ground level at least, it seems. I think there's a lot of underlying issues that might rear their head as we head into the summer and, you know, as we head into next season.
Yeah, you mentioned it a few times there, John Dale Thomason's departure. I mean, he's been in charge of Rovers for 18 months, I believe. A relatively successful period during that spell. I mean, all right, he missed out on playoffs last season, but given kind of Blackburn's struggles over the years, that would have been deemed, I suppose, a pretty good season. Quit kind of, I suppose, off the back of budget cuts and missing out on signings. Was it a departure that was accepted by the Blackburn fans or a disappointment that he left kind of under that cloud?
It was a mix, really. I think a lot of fans had mixed feelings. I think a lot of fans were disappointed to see him go, like you said, last year. We missed out on the playoffs. It ran goal difference as well. And you look back to some of the games, including Norwich's 1-0 win at Ewood in April, that fans kind of looked at for, we could have had that extra point there. But we come into it with a lot of positivity, but budget cuts and enforced budget cuts as well, not just the club being tight with money. So it's time. I think people were relieved to see him go because he was making a lot of excuses in the media. He was coming out and almost damaging everyone with his words, and it didn't feel right. It became toxic. But fans appreciate that he isn't the issue at the club, it's the ownership. So a mixed feeling of right time for him to go, but he shouldn't be the one getting the blame for why the club's in the position it is. It's a lot higher than him. So yeah, definitely mixed. But I think overall it was seen as the right decision from what we can expect. We can't expect new owners randomly, can we? We can't really expect any of that. So yeah, a really mixed one is the word I'd use.
Yeah, you then, of course, replace him with another John. It's John Eustace, formerly of Birmingham. A lot of Birmingham fans, of course, disappointed at his exit, given the situation there that unfolded and Wayne Rooney's arrival. I think lots of them would have maybe yearned for him to return to St Andrews. He's decided to make the switch to Ewood Park, a 2.5-year deal. You mentioned kind of the industrial style of football. How have the fans maybe taken to him? Is it just a case of keeping you in the league and then trying to build maybe?
Yeah, I think fans appreciate the job he has on his hands. You know, John Dale Thomason's tried building this playing style of passing football, playing out from the back for 18 months, and now he's got a few of them players in the squad. Now Eustace is in, and it kind of feels like our old squad would suit him better. I think fans want an identity, first of all. We want a manager that can change, and he has shown that. He's shown that he can, you know, try and change a game. Like at Preston, we went 2 up. On Saturday, went to 2-2, and rather than going for a win like John Dale used to do, he kind of sat back and accepted a point, and it might be frustrating, but in the grand scheme of things, we need points. A point at Preston isn't bad, given the recent form. I think fans can appreciate that it's not going to be the best watch for us, and there's no doubt about that, but it should get more results, and that's what matters now. We don't want to go down. We want to at least go into the summer and have that platform to maybe move on. So, yeah, it's tough. I think we'll appreciate it at the end of the year. I think when you're watching it and you're spending 90 minutes watching it every Saturday, every Tuesday, it's going to become a bit tiresome, but we'll appreciate the job it's done if and probably when he keeps us up at the end of the year.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, the January transfer window deadline closed. You mentioned off camera that it's usually a quiet affair for Rovers in terms of January. Typically the case really at Norwich, usually a quiet window, but it turned out to be quite a dramatic and busy deadline day for Rovers. You bring in the likes of John Fleck. You mentioned Fazdian, formerly of course, of Coventry. You sell Adam Wharton to Crystal Palace for big money, and then you have kind of the error on the Blackburn part of trying to register Duncan Maguire on loan from Orlando City. I mean, just sum up that window as a Rovers fan and just maybe rank it out of 10. How would you say success-wise it was for Rovers?
Yeah, an interesting window to say the least. Rovers actually missed out on 2 signings last January deadline day as well by missing the forms. We had a cup replay at Birmingham. Certain members of staff went to that, and we ended up missing out on Lewis O'Brien on loan, who everyone will know just how good he is. And that kind of also felt like one of the reasons Rovers didn't make the playoffs. And a young lad from Rochdale, Ethan Brayley, that's now at Brentford, and they come out after that and said it won't happen again. Greg Broughton, who Norwich fans will know, came out and said this won't happen again on my watch. And then we fast forward 12 months later and we're doing the exact same thing, albeit a different era, but still an issue. Out of 10, I'd struggle to give it more than a 3 or 4. I think losing Adam Wharton we expected, but we lost him for money that, although the club needs money, I sat there and thought, do you know what, if we get to the summer, get a bit like Alex Scott, at Bristol City, we get there, but losing Lewis Travis to those who I won't mention that you guys don't really like, just a month that saw Rovers lose 2 key players, whether Travis played or not, and replace them with loanees, replace them with, I think we signed 7 players and one of them's contracted after the summer, which kind of says everything about Rovers' position. A lot of loans, a lot of old players in John Fleck and McFadden, and then one promising signing in Conor O'Riordan from Crewe, but we're spending money on a centre-back that isn't really going to play this year. In the financial issues that Rovers have, it felt weird. So I couldn't give it more than a 3 or 4. The Maguire situation's left a real sour taste in fans' mouth. And again, 3 messed up transfers in 1 year. People don't forget that. And people will keep coming back to that. Unless Rovers miraculously got in the playoffs, people will keep coming back to how we've messed that up. So, yeah. Life's never easy as a Rovers fan, especially given recent transfer issues.
No, it all sounds very eventful. You mentioned losing key man Adam Wharton, but who's maybe been the key man star player, I suppose, of sort for Rovers so far this season? I think if you're a championship observer, you probably automatically look at Sammy Smodux and his goal tally. 18 goals in the division so far this season. He's a player that really done a job on Norwich when they came down to Carrow Road, of course, in the reverse fixture. Is he the one, I suppose, to look out for on Saturday, or is there someone that's maybe less kind of in the public eye, I suppose?
Yeah, somebody to be the one you'd pick out. I think Sam Gallagher's a good shout as well. He looks really revitalised under John Eustace. Rovers have gone back to basics of let's kick the ball up and give it to the big man. Let's use the big man for what he's good at, physicality. And he's really, really excelled in these couple of games. Got a goal and assist at Preston on Saturday. Possibly could have had more. I think with Rovers, and I've said it all season, and it almost feels like a cop-out answer, but we're a team full of talent. We've no doubt about it. Despite all the issues, we got Smodix, top scorer in the league, who's probably going to finish on 25 goals if he kept it up in the league, which is ridiculous. You've got Terrace Talk, who had a really good game at Carrow Road. Sam Gallagher. You've got Sandra Tronstad in the midfield, who's been a real bit of energy in that midfield after signing for Vitesse in the summer. So much talent in the side, and I think that's the frustrations again under John Dahl and under the old regime. There's a lot of players, but it's about them having the day, and they haven't had the day, I'll be honest, in probably 3 months now. So sums us up really at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of struggles at home as well. I think you're 18th in the championship in terms of home form. What's the underlying issue there? Is it obvious to Rovers fans? Is it kind of you mentioned maybe the sort of the issues in terms of the squad and the management change and everything and the ownership, or is it something else that's maybe more obvious when you're at Ewood Park on a Saturday?
It's that playing style. I think Rovers tried to adopt this playing style of that we see Man City do and we see other big teams do, and we just didn't have the players. And I think with your home fans, you have to get them off the seats. If you go away from home, you can kind of put in a gritty performance. You can get away. And I think you're at home, fans grow restless, and rightly so. I think it's been terrible. I'll be truly honest. We've tried this playing style at home that doesn't work. When John Doe wanted to play this football, he liked his counter-attacking style. Rovers showed that at Carrow Road completely. But when you're at Ewood, teams want to sit back. Teams are happy to come and play you at your game. They're happy. They don't have that pressure going on and bringing the game to you. So we've just suffered with teams sitting back. The hardest games for us are teams that sit back, because then we kind of just stand there and go, well, what can we do? We're trying to pass, and all Rovers we're passing it along the edge of the box. Kept passing it along the edge of the box, and then we'd lose the ball and concede to a counter-attack. So for me, it was just a playing style. And we'll see, I think, under John Eustace, this back-to-basics approach, bring teams there, use the physicality, get the crowd behind us, and then hopefully it should breed success. So I'm excited to see how Saturday goes, because it will be his first official home game, as Rovers manager.
Yeah, a few connections between Norwich and Blackburn, more in the Norwich camp, that maybe have the added spice of a trip to Ewood. Shane Duffy out injured. I know your comments on him from the last time we spoke, so we won't regurgitate all of that. But Grant Hanley, of course, picked up an injury at Ewood Park last season, stretchered off, missed quite a lot of the whole of end of last season, quite a bit of the start of this campaign. Now back, probably going to be starting on Saturday. Positive reception from the Ewood crowd for Grant Hanley as usual.
Yeah, definitely. We love him at Ewood, an academy product, which Rovers fans always love. Did well in the Premier League for us. I can't believe it feels like he should be much older than he is after all that time. But he'll get a good reception. I think I kind of wish Duffy were playing so we could get a bit of a worse reception, and he'd probably drop a mistake or two. But no, Hanley will get a good reception, definitely.
One man that's not got any ties to Blackburn other than he played for Burnley, which I know is bitter rivals. Ashley Barnes up front, 10 plus years at Burnley, a bit of a legend, a bit of a cult hero. I think he scored a couple of times in the past against Rovers. I'd imagine he's not a massively well-liked character, but returning to Ewood Park on Saturday in a Norwich City shirt, maybe less of a good reception for him.
Oh, he'll love it, won't he? He'll absolutely love that. Booing and everything about him. Yeah, he's not going to get a good reception. I won't mention the handball in the 90th minute when they last played at Ewood as well. That still upsets a lot of us. But I forgot he played for you after he didn't play last time, did he? So at least he'll get the reception that Shane Duffy also deserves, to say the least. Yeah,
I can imagine that's going to be a spicy reaction for him. More generally, just intrigued to get your take on Norwich as someone on the outside who's a championship observer, a championship fan. We're on the rise a little bit at the moment. Obviously, there's been lots of criticism for David Wagner across the season. Feels like maybe the last 13 games from a Norwich City perspective now is just go and attack it and try and get into the playoffs, based off maybe the sort of teams you've seen that are in that sort of playoff hunt. Do you think Norwich have maybe got what it takes to I suppose, push into the top six come the end of the season?
It's interesting. We spoke just before we went on that last time we played, I thought that was the end of Wagner. I honestly did. I was there at his first game in the cup game when we played you, and I thought I was also at his last one. But really surprised to see how you've turned it around. I think you've gone under the radar in my eyes as a team that I looked at of, going up. I was looking at the table. When you start sliding down, you start focusing on them a bit lower, don't you? And I'm just surprised. I'm surprised you're up there, I'll be truly honest. I didn't think you'd do anything. I didn't think you'd go down, but I thought you'd be sat around probably where we are now, in 15th or 16th. So, yeah, playoffs I think might be too far. I feel there's too many teams that's stronger, strong for you. But just surprised to see Wagner still in the job compared to how it was last time. I was there on Dean Smith's, not Dean Smith. Was it Dean Smith who came in for it? Yeah, I was there for his last game, and I thought I was there for Wagner's, but really surprising. Fair play how he's turned it around. It'd be interesting to see Saturday, like you say, a good record at Ewood as well for Norwich recently. We need a win, so I think it'll be a cagey affair from Rovers. I'm interested to see. And obviously Norwich should be well back numbers wise.
Yeah, before I get your thoughts and score prediction, any sort of key injuries or sort of players that might be missing from a Rovers perspective on Saturday? I know we're recording this quite early in the week, so these things can change, but any long-term injuries that maybe won't be featuring, and maybe a starting 11 prediction roughly for Rovers?
Yeah, Joe Rankin Costello's out for 3 to 4 weeks. He, again, feels like there's a lot of ties to Norwich here, maybe not as former players, but he really was out the squad last year. And then when we played Norwich away in Dean Smith's last game, made his first start and didn't really miss a game. And then this year he struggled again with injuries. He's out. John Fleck will be out. He got injured early on in the Preston game, more of a knock rather than, pulling something. Starting 11's pretty easy to predict. It's going to be Ainsley Pears in goal. We'll probably, as long as fatigue doesn't play a part with Rovers being at Cardiff tomorrow at the time of recording this, we'll probably go Hedges, Hyam, McFadden, Scott Wharton and Harry Pickering. Not Harry Pickering, who's been at left wing back. Callum Britton as a back five. Sondre Tronstad in the midfield, probably with Jake Garrett, and then a front three of Smodics, Gallagher and Dolan. Rovers don't have too much of a squad to rotate, really. There's probably 14 or 15 players you'd expect to maybe be in, maybe John Buckley. But yeah, we're pretty much a squad of 22 or 23 that could potentially play, and a few of them are out. So I don't imagine that starting 11 will be too far off being right.
Yeah, so we'll be interested to see what we get come team news. I know Norwich have kind of got a few hit and miss, whether they'll be available or not. And then finally turning the attention now forward to the game on Saturday at Ewood Park. I think Rovers have won 3 of the last 4 games between the two sides, but Norwich unbeaten in the last 5 trips. I think it's 5 victories as well to Ewood Park. That goes right back to 2012. So it's been a fairly happy place to come. With all that and sort of everything we've spoken about, can we have a score prediction from you, Dan, and see how this game goes?
Yeah, like I say, I'm expecting a cage one. I've got to go for a Rovers winning Eustace's first game. That's more hope than actually thinking it. I'll go for 1-0 Rovers. That'd be the ideal performance. A scruffy 1-0 home win would do us all fine. Ashley Barnes on goal as well, just to make it a bit sweeter. But we're so unpredictable and we need points on the board with a lot of tough home games yet to come. We've still got your friends down the road to come and we've still got Southampton and that. So I don't know. I'm worried, I'll be honest, but I'll go for 1-0 Rovers. I can't back against us win. I'd say that if we were bottom of the league in Rotherham's position, to be fair. So we'll wait and see. Yeah,
you've got to remain optimistic in these dark periods that you have to go through as a football fan of the clubs that we support. Dan, really appreciate your time. Do you want to quickly plug where Norwich and Rovers fans can find your content? Lots of great stuff. I know, particularly given how busy I suppose it's been in recent weeks.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, thank you very much for having us on there. If anyone wants to find us, Rovers Chat on YouTube, Rovers Chat _ on X, just general Rovers content covering the club, whether it's good or bad. Always got a podcast out on a Monday where we discuss the games that have gone on, and we'll always have match reaction as well. Maybe a bit later on if we're a bit naff. But yeah, check us out if you want a bit of Championship content.
There we go. We'll link it all down below. Head over to the Rovers Chat and you can, of course, get all of that great content there that Dan's just outlined. Dan, do really appreciate your time this evening as usual. Lots of great stuff coming your way across our channels. We'll be speaking to David Wagner and Kenny McLean. This will be tomorrow by the time you're watching this on Wednesday night. Lots of other great stuff as well. Probably be a preview show and everything else you need to know ahead of this big trip to Ewood Park. Team News Live, of course, at 2 p.m. from Ewood, trying to get this sort of starting 11 that David Wagner's decided to pick on what can hopefully be another happy trip to Ewood for Norwich City and 3 more points in their quest to try and get in the top 6. Thanks for joining us this evening and we'll see you in the next one.